I started getting feet swelling and edema about a year ago from the making of this video, and I recorded it. As you can see here, I'll show you what my feet look like. And as a matter of fact, they got even bigger than this. Literally my feet would get the size of baseball gloves, and it wasn't too concerning. And I went months like that. My feet, I couldn't get my shoes on, and I have a real heavy salt intake. I'd eat a lot of junk food, hamburgers, and a lot of processed foods with salt and fat. And as you can see here in the video that I made, pretty bad. You can see the lines here from my shoes, and I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't have insurance at the time, and what I would do is I would go on a diet. I would take all the fat, take all the salt out of my diet, eat rice, fruits, vegetables, whatever, and it would go down. And I demonstrate that here in this video, and I can link you in the description. But it wasn't really too much of a concern to me until, about 7-8 months later, around Christmas time of last year. I noticed that I started getting a real bad cough, and it didn't seem like it was a sign of infection. It was just fluid in my lungs that wouldn't go away, and I was still having issues with edema. And then I had other symptoms, heart symptoms, where I'd have shortness of breath, and I would be sitting in my car, and I could not breathe, and I had to actually stand up. And I was thinking, oh no, heart attack. And the bad thing about that is I didn't have insurance. I'm thinking, well, is this going to bankrupt me? Not knowing that, hey, this is your life here. Doesn't matter if you have money. If you're dead, it doesn't matter if you have money anyway. So, very concerning. And then I started browsing Obamacare of December of last year. I have to get to the doctor. That was my main concern. And the congestion in my chest wouldn't go away. I'd wake up. I started sitting in my chair and sleep in my chair in order so I could breathe better, because I was having really bad sleep apnea as well, where I would just wake up in the middle of the night just panicky. Very scary, very scary. And so I went to a doctor locally when I got Obamacare, got signed up, got a fairly expensive one. I was paying like $350 a month, still am. But as you can see here now in the video, as you can see my feet, after a week of fruits, vegetables, rice, and all that, my feet got a lot better within a week. So I was very happy about that. Anyways, I digress. When I went to the doctor, he says he didn't seem too alarmed that I had heart failure. He gave me an EKG. And then I went and did a thorough blood test, urine test, and everything came back, good. My cholesterol was a little bit high, but he suggested at the time I wear compression socks. It's basically socks that you wear to make the fluid in the blood go back to your heart and not get trapped in your feet. And he also prescribed me a medication. It's a Lasix called furosemide. F as in Frank, Urosemide. And I've been taking that for about 8 months now. And what that does is it's a Lasix, it's a diuretic that'll make you urinate 3-4 times after you take it. So I started taking that, and my feet started getting a lot better. I wasn't swelling. But another thing is I'm obese. I'm extremely overweight, over 100 pounds overweight, and that doesn't help the matter at all either. So I know I have to lose weight. I know I have to get it off, and for my overall health in my future. But as far as the LASIK, this is what it looks like. It's really small tablets. You take one a day, and it just makes you pee. You know, you can get over the counter LASIKs. Well, it wouldn't be LASIK. It's just basically a diuretic. But I will tell you, it does not work nearly as good as this drug. So I was still concerned. You know, after going to the doctor, 3 months after going to the doctor from December, in March and April, you know, I went ahead and went to a cardiologist. Told him my problem, and he says, you know, we'll check everything, and hopefully you don't have heart failure, you don't have kidney failure or something like that. So we did a full stress test and it's called an echogram, where they, like a sonogram, where they basically go into your heart and check the if there's any enlargement in your left or your right side of your heart. They check to see if your aorta's swollen at all. They check and see if there's any leakage from your valve. And fortunately, my echogram came out pretty good. They did discover I had a bicuspid aortic valve, which means it's 2 leaflets instead of 3. Most people have 3 little leaflets that let blood come in and out of the heart. But that doesn't necessarily mean the reason I have swelling. And, you know, my cardiologist basically said, you just might just be overweight and you need to lose weight. So I want to stop stalling and putting it off. I want to start taking care of myself and, you know, eating better and everything. But I was very relieved. I was almost positive that I had heart failure, you know, in December. And it was very devastating, and I was worrying. Main thing is to, if you have a problem, you know, get Obamacare if you can. If you live in the United States. I mean, if you live somewhere else in the world, hopefully you got universal health care. But if you're in the United States, you know, November, December, January is when you can sign up for it. And, you know, I ain't telling you to use it and then dump it, but there's no law stating that you can't get it and get all your tests done. And if there's something major that you need to have fixed or surgery, you'll have insurance. And then if you see that you're okay, then you can drop it, you know. There's nothing illegal about it. It won't hurt your credit if you do something like that. I'm sure some people have done that, where they'll get all the tests done and then they'll drop Obamacare. You just basically stop making the payments to your insurance. Now I get 3 different medications now. I get the this Lasix here, and then I also get 2 high blood pressure medicines because my blood pressure was through the roof, you know, way too high, and that actually can cause your legs to swell too. High blood pressure can. But you know, you got to do what you got to do to take care of your health. If you're not here, what good is money? You know, what good is life? And it'll put you at ease to go to the doctor and you know, and get things checked out. And you know, the way things are going with technology and medicine, you know, a lot of stuff that is incurable, you know, down the road very soon might be curable. So it's an exciting time that we're living in. All right, thanks for watching.